You can't get to where you want to go by dragging old excuses with you. Although many of us try, don't we? I mean, there comes a time when the story that you've been repeating no longer lives up to that life that you want. And a lot of us cling to those old stories. I mean, if your goal is to move forward, grow stronger, and actually see results, you can't keep justifying the same reasons that you've been stuck. And we cling to those things. We look at those things that are keeping us stuck or trapped, or just we call them limitations. A lot of us won't say those words, but it's just defending limitations is what we end up doing. And the next level of life isn't waiting for motivation. Your next level of life is waiting for consistency. So before we dig into all this great stuff on this podcast, and I do thank you for joining me today, head over to talktoperry.com. That's for people who are serious about building momentum and really claiming their energy back. And we do that in 15 minutes. That's over at talktoperry.com, so you can grab your spot there. Let's see. Excuses. They can sound reasonable. As a matter of fact, a lot of us, we won't even call them excuses. We will rationalize, reason, we'll justify things, especially after you've had a long day, you didn't sleep well, you have too much on your plate. You keep saying that you're busy. You slap that on everything. And yeah, that it might all be true, but the reasons that are on repeat. That when you got to really become aware of those when you're using them over and over and over again. Are they really helping you get to where you want to go? And as you're hearing this, you're probably going, yeah, but you don't know my life. Yeah, but if you're in this, these tips are going to help you today, because these things, while excuses might feel safe, they actually give you a way out. For me, I called it a crack in a flaw. When I wanted to really get in shape and exercise and get some great results, it seemed like no matter what plan came my way, I was subconsciously trying to find a crack in a flaw of why it wouldn't work for me or how I could get out of it. And it really, you look at this new version of you that you're wanting to become, and that's going to have some discomfort to it. You're like, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I'm going to stay comfortable. So I'll stay comfortable in my own excuses and my own limitations. But those slow you down, and when you break out of that, you start looking at, especially when you focus, you start looking at what's possible. Now, growth, it doesn't require perfection. As a matter of fact, my friend Angie, she says, when you have a goal is not to get, a goal is to grow. And so really growth doesn't require that perfection. It requires some radical honesty with yourself. You have to be real with yourself about what's working, what's not, what you're clinging to. And if you've got old habits and excuses that haven't helped you feel better, stronger, more alive, why keep them? But many of us do. And it doesn't boil down to laziness or, lack of clarity or anything like that. But if you are still holding on to that old version of yourself, you're most likely going to keep getting the same results that match that version of you. So moving forward, it means choosing what matters most, even when it's not convenient. And a lot of us, we've gotten used to convenience, having things just handed to us, right? So if your goals are real, your excuses, they have to take a back seat. They have to get quieter. And it doesn't mean ignoring your limits. You'll have those stories, but it really means really becoming aware of those, recognizing your old patterns, and just replacing them with actions that match the version of you that you're wanting to become. The one that has hit the goal and reached the goals and surpassing those things. You don't even need huge moments to make a shift. You just need to make a decision that lines up with the life that you want. So when I was looking back at my journey and reflecting and saying, gosh, how did I actually stick with it? Because I had been in that cycle of, I want to get healthy and fit, and I'd start something, I'd dabble in it a little bit, but then I'd find that crack in a flaw, use it as an escape hatch, and then I was off the hook. I didn't have to show up anymore. Of course, the on the other side of that coin was I was gaining weight, being overwhelmed, stressed out, stuff like that. So I was kind of tired of that game too. So both sides of the coin were pretty difficult. And I realized that the next version of life, it's available when you start showing up for it, but you got to be radically honest with yourself on those things. And that's where I started looking at what are the ways I'm trying to talk myself out of showing up for today's workout, negotiating. Well, I'll have this cheat meal, which would turn into a cheat weekend, which would turn into guilt, and then me drifting off course saying, oh, what's the use? I can't seem to stick with this. Telling myself the story, I always sabotage it this time. So it really is about just looking at those things and saying, you know what, I don't want to live that anymore. What if I didn't do that? What would it look like? What would it feel like? And I started making these little 30-day challenges with myself. Okay, for the next 30 days, I'm really going to lock in and stay glued onto this pattern. So it was showing up for my workouts. Now, I extended the 30 days. I made it 90 days. And that seems like a long time, right? But I took it 30 days at a time, and I didn't look at it as, whoa, I can't wait. I'm at day 30. I can't wait till day 90 is done. But my subconscious was thinking that way. And I'm like, aha, you're already wanting to get off the hook at day 45, right? So that was a big thing for me, where it was like, I've got to stop that. I'm going to test this out for the next 30 days. And I realized, and you can, take this for what for what it's worth. You don't need to prove your past that it's wrong. You just need to start living the way that makes your future feel real. A lot of times we have this future ideal and we keep it out in the future. That's future so-and-so's, that's future me's problem, and you never really get to the future, or that's future me's goal, and you don't start living and doing the things that future self of yours could be doing and should be doing. You start doing those things now. So that's what I started doing. Like, well, the future me shows up for workouts. Well, the future me stops making those excuses. Well, the future me shops for decent decent things at the grocery store. And then the current me was like, oh, do we have to do that? We're going to feel deprived. We don't like cardio. And all those excuses. I'm like, aha, I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I made a commitment. I'm not going to talk myself out of it. I'm just going to show up and do the plan. So you had to let go of, I had to let go, and that's what you'll need to do, is let go of that version of you that keeps hesitating, that keeps negotiating. And when you do that, you'll outgrow it. All of a sudden, you won't miss it. You'll start making moves that match where you're going, not where you've been. So hopefully this landed with you today. Just know, you can choose to use your power, take control, and really move forward with the goals that you have. Or you can let the excuses and then negotiate and rationalize and reason them and tell yourself, actually justify those. And you can let that control you and drain your power. It really boils down to deciding and committing to yourself and your goals, and then choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning, growing, challenging yourself, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You could drop those down in the comments. I promise I will reply. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.